Hamas launched the biggest attack on Israel in 50 years. Over 900 Israelis are dead. Over 2,000 were wounded and more than 150 people have been abducted by Hamas and taken to Gaza. The attacks have caused mass devastation all over the country with no end in sight. We're joined now by congressional candidate who's on the ground and stranded in Israel, Daniel Norbert. Daniel, good to have you. Tell us, where were you when the when the murders started, Hamas in Israel?
Thank you for having me on the show. So it was 6:30 in the morning, Saturday morning. It's a holiday, so it's dead silence in the streets. You can't hear cars, you can't hear anything. And all of a sudden, sirens are blaring, sirens going off. We just couldn't hear ourselves. My wife and me were looking at each other, and we're thinking this must be some type of mistake. And we check our phones to see what's going on. And it's not a mistake. It's in fact, there are rockets being launched into the country. My children wake up, we run down to the shelter like we're used to be doing, because we know that's how it works in this country sometimes, sadly. 2 years ago, something similar happened and we were pretty much prepared. So right now we're waiting there for the journalism to kick in to find out exactly what's happening. But we're finding out that actually our worst fears are coming true, in which not just that were rockets being launched into the country, but actually we have an invasion of Hamas, a complete invasion, from what I understood, about 28 terrorist cells coming into the country, and not just killing people in parties and raves, but also abducting them. It was unbelievable when it happened. Everybody's in a state of shock right now. It's like walking in a dream. People are looking over their shoulders. Nobody knows who to trust. We're just completely at a loss right now with what's going on.
And you know, what people may not realize is, you live in Israel, you've been spend enough time in Israel. Even though it was a surprise, it's not really a surprise. You know immediately what's happening. Did you realize the scope of it? With all the neighborhoods along the Gaza Strip being infiltrated, invaded, and then that big festival, music festival, where young people were just enjoying life one day, and next thing you know, they're being kidnapped and killed and terrorized. Daniel.
It's monstrous. It's horrendous what's happening right now. 2 years ago, there was rocket fires for about a week, about 4,500 rockets sent within a week. Here we have 5,000 rockets within 20 minutes. I mean, they're coming to understand how they could work around the Iron Dome. So there were so many rockets being launched, and my children, sadly, are aware of what's happening sometimes. They know how to deal with it. They're pretty much used to it. But again, this is something completely new, not in my lifetime.
So may I, Daniel, I hate to interrupt you, but I think something that hasn't been really touched on. What do you tell a child in Israel with the sirens going off? How do you explain what's happening?
That's a very good question, actually. Psychologically, Israelis are used to living in this type of warfare. It's not okay. This should not be the modus operandi. We should not be used to this, but our children, my generation, my parents' generation, my children's generation, they're confronting this on a regular basis. And I don't believe that there ever will be peace with the Palestinians until they love their children more than they hate ours. And it's just terrible that it's this way. And we need to really, at this point, wipe Hamas off the map. We have to end these decades of appeasement towards the Palestinians, towards Iran. The only president who was able to confront really who Hamas was in Iran was Donald Trump. And we need to get back to that quickly before it punishes us more in the United States.
So you said something very important. You said this won't end until the Palestinians or the terrorists love their children more than they hate Jews.
To quote Golda Meir. Yeah, Golda Meir said that.
Very important point. I'm not sure that we ever get to that. That may not be the case. The question is now, Hamas is saying they'd be open to negotiating a truce. Well, what are your thoughts on that being there? Yeah, go ahead.
Of course they would be right now. They're being bombarded. And yes. And sadly, Palestinian children might be killed, will be killed by this. But we have to defend ourselves. Israel is a sovereign country, like any other country, has the right to defend itself. What happened to us in the past few weeks has never happened in my lifetime. I don't think it's ever happened before. I don't think it's an asymmetric warfare that we're used to or ever seen. The last thing we want to do is embolden other countries or the Taliban or anybody to act in this way of just going into the country, capturing civilians. Old women on mobility scooters are being escorted into Gaza. These are monsters, as we said before.
Dragging Israeli women half naked through the streets on the back of pickup trucks. We're seeing all the videos. Daniel, it's god awful, and it's got to stop. We'll touch base with you again as we go forward. Please stay safe, you and your family. Down to Norbert, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, folks, coming up.